Ready.
Good afternoon and welcome to our Shabbat Controversial Forum. Today we have a guest speaker who is going to interject some or plenty of controversy into our session today. Our guest is Joseph Dumond. And Joseph, tell us, before you get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from and what you do, and then go right into your topic.
Well, basically, I'm from just north of Toronto, Canada. I dig ditches for a living. I have for the past 40 years done that. That's not just with a shovel, that's with heavy equipment. And I've just folded up my company, which I had doing the same thing. But I began learning about the Sabbath in 1982. Began keeping the Sabbath and the holy days in 1983. In 2005, I was challenged about the Hebrew calendar versus the sighted moon calendar. And when I was finally made up my mind on that, I was tested. And the test was Passover. And when I kept Passover according to the sighted moon, that very same week, I was revealed the sabbatical and jubilee year cycles. So that is my ministry, basically, teaching about the sabbatical and jubilee year cycles. We have started out with about 11 artifacts and biblical verses that showed us when they were. And I have now got 89 to date. And we just teach that and what it means. And when you understand that, it changes the whole perspective of the entire Bible. So that's what Dr. Snyder was talking with, I believe, Liz last month. And she got him interested in this subject again. I believe we had talked to Dr. Snyder, I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 years ago. And at that time, you know, my presentation wasn't very good. And I was still learning. And the people here at Yahad were not interested. So here we are back again, and we're going to take another stab at it and see if we can show you what it means and what its purpose is and why it's important to know. So.
Okay, then let's get it on. Let's hear your presentation. Let's hear where you're coming from. Everybody, before he gets started, as Elder Allison said earlier, the Yahad policy is that when we have a speaker of a controversial topic, the job, according to the Danache, is that we all listen and consider and then judge. So if you have questions, please wait until there is a pause during Mr. Dumond's presentation, and then you can ask questions and answers. Go ahead, Mr. Dumond. You have the floor.
Well, Daniel, this was to be an interview, which was a give and take conversation. So I have not prepared anything specifically because I didn't know I was doing a presentation. So everything I'm going to do is off the top of my head. And, you know, I'm trying to save all the hair I can because I'm starting to lose some. So I don't want to use up too much of the top of my head. But you've said something here a couple times now, which is catching me off guard. Why is this a controversial subject? I'm failing to see that. Can you tell me that?
The reason why it is a controversial subject to us is simply because of we have certain doctrines and practices that we subscribe to, and whenever something is added to the mix, we put it out there that this forum that happens, it happens every week, and we have all kinds of subjects that we talk about, and they're very they're very controversial, but they most of the time end up not being as controversial as you think they are. So it's not necessarily controversial, but the forum is controversial. So don't let that scare you off or intimidate you in any way.
Oh no, it doesn't scare me at all. It's a challenge. So then let me begin. I want to ask you, as you represent the Yahad today, we have in common Genesis 6:3. You have your Bible there?
Yes, we do.
You want to pull up Genesis 6:3?
Genesis 6:3. Let's see.
And I'll let you go ahead and read it.
Give me 1 second because I'm using the online Bible.
Yep, so am I.
I'll use the ISR just for craps and giggles. Come on, open up. Don't you love technology? We're going to go Genesis, Bereshit, and we're going to go to 6, correct?
6, verse 3. And then I want you to read it, please.
All right, here we go. Genesis 6:3. And Yahweh said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever in his going astray. He is flesh, and his days shall be 120 years.
Okay, very good. What does that mean?
To me, it means that there was a period, because of the fall and because of things that went on after the fall, something happened that Yahweh decreed that because of the way we are, our days will be shortened from what it was to 120 years.
So you're going to live, Daniel, you're going to live to be 120 years old according to this verse, right?
It's supposed to be, but I don't think so. But I think that there's something else where we were given 410. Okay. So the 70 will be the likelihood.
So then if we're going to be 410, as you just said, which is correct, I know the verse, then right here in Genesis 6:3, Jehovah is a liar. Is that what you just said?
Nope. Something happened additionally to cause that 70 to be the standard. That's what I say.
How many people do you know to live to be 120 years old?
We was just talking about one of my relatives that lived to be 105.
I've got some that live to be 104.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, but I don't know anyone that lived to be 120.
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, so there's a problem with this verse. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that there's a problem with this verse. Jehovah is not a liar. But men do not live to be 120. If you took the whole spectrum of mankind from Genesis 1, noon, hey, S-H-A-N-E-H or S-H-A-N-A-H, okay? The definition is a division of time, or a measure of time, or as indication of age, which is what seems to be translated here, or is a life cycle, or is a cycle of time. So which one of those proper translations is this supposed to be? Those people who interpreted the Bible said years because that's the one that made sense to them. I'm saying that the proper translation is cycles of time. 120 cycles of time is how long Jehovah is going to deal with mankind. Now, is my interpretation correct? I'm asking you, Daniel.
Is your interpretation correct?
120 cycles of time. So is my interpretation correct? Yes.
It's possible yes, it's possible that it is correct. Okay. However, it would bear there to be more research into it.
Exactly. How do you prove this?
Go ahead.
Well, I'm asking, how would you prove it? How would you try and figure it out?
Well, the way I would do it. Oh, okay. Hey, Jackson, how you doing?
Doing okay, brother.
All
Good
right.
to be here.
Joseph just asked a question. State your question again, Joseph.
Well, we're looking at the Genesis 6:3, and is this Jackson Snyder that's here?
Yes, that is.
Okay. We're looking at Genesis 6:3, and the last word in the verse is years, because we don't know anyone that lives to be 120 years old. And we're wondering what is a proper translation of that word. And one of the translations is the word cycles of time. And so I'm saying that the proper translation is God is not going to deal with man forever. He's going to deal with them for 120 cycles of time. And I challenge Daniel to figure out, how do we prove that to be correct, that my translation is a proper translation?
The way I would see that is that this is a symbolic number, 3 times 4 times 100, which means a limited amount of time to me. And I've seen it interpreted in a number of different ways. Cycle of authority, or a particular, the number 12 is the Dawid number, the DVD. So I've seen it interpreted as years, as thousands of years. As
I remember that one.
120,000 years?
Yes, I've heard about that.
Yes. In some people trying to understand where dinosaurs came from use that, or Neanderthal. That's another place where I've seen that used. But I see a lot of numbers in the scripture to be symbolic. In that particular one, 12 is the number of authority. And so,
okay, but we're looking at the word years. We're trying to understand the word years. Shana.
Yeah, I don't dispute what you're saying. No, I just want to hear what you got to say about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Daniel said this was a controversial show, which I was unaware of, and we're going to make it into a controversy so people learn.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly our point.
Yeah.
That's why we do what we do.
Good.
I want to challenge you on the things I'm saying, and I want you to, sorry?
Expect to hear questions like that, or comments against the majority ideas.
Right, exactly.
Well, sure, but we want to know what you have to say before we are
jump
going
all
to try
over
to criticize you.
Right? Exactly. No, we're not gonna jump all over you.
That's okay. I got big shoulders. Go ahead. So we got 120 cycles of time is what I'm saying this is. Now, where do we get this 120 times 50 notion from is what I'm asking, what I'm going to ask now. Where does that come from? What scripture says that? Daniel or Jackson?
Where do you get the 50?
Well, that's okay. Next question. Yeah, where do we get the 50 from?
Yeah, I think you're talking about Leviticus 25, possibly, where it lays out the Jubilee cycles.
Okay. Is Governor your first name or Staten?
Governor is my first name.
Okay. So, Governor, we get it from Leviticus 25. That's correct. And we multiply 50 times 120. Why did they multiply 50 times 120?
Well, if you see that as the cycle of time, obviously you'd have to multiply it by 420 to get your answer, which is 6,000, or close enough to make the difference. Not obvious, maybe not.
But, no, you just said it. It is obvious.
If you're using that as the cycle of time, yes, it would be. But if it's not, then it wouldn't be.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so now
what that 6,000 is all about.
What's the 6,000 about then, Jackson?
Well, my understanding is from a lot of Middle Jewish literature is that each of the days in Genesis chapter 1 specifies a 1,000-year period, 1,000 years a day, and that from the time of the creation of Adam, or from the time he's thrown out, there would be 6,000 years broken into periods until the time of the coming of Messiah.
Very good.
And then the last 1,000 years is the time of the millennium.
And we get that from Hebrews 4, or the book of Hebrews talks all about the.
That's correct.
Yeah, we find that in the Epistle of Barnabas. We find that in the Gospel of Bartholomew. Lots of other inner texts.
We're gonna stick to strictly the biblical version in the King James Bible, the chapters there, so that we don't get into controversial subjects on this today.
But these things kind of prove what you're saying.
Yeah, they do. They actually do.
I don't need them. So
okay,
you know, we can go to outside sources. I got outside sources that prove what I say, but I'd never use them because I don't need them. A lot of people stick to the King James Bible. They say that the 1611 version, they speak in these and thous, not the only version they want to use. Fine, go ahead.
Okay, what if Pope Francis said so?
Who's Pope Francis?
Wouldn't you take him as an authority, Pope Francis?
Are you kidding me? I wouldn't take him as anything.
That's a joke.
I saw that. I saw that coming a mile away.
Pope Francis is nothing to me, and his words, I don't even follow anything he says. Let's just stick to what Jehovah says.
And by the way, you use the word Jehovah to refer to what you call it?
God.
Okay, can you do us a favor? Can you use the name Yahweh or
no?
Okay, that's fine.
If it bothers you,
no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
I used to not. I've been invited places where I was only allowed to say the name Yahweh.
Oh, I'm so okay.
All my notes, and I was terrified of saying God or Jesus.
Gotcha.
And those people never learned a thing.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you're good, man. Go ahead.
I do not care what you call God, as long as you're trying to worship Him, and I've evolved to the state where I believe His name is Jehovah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. If you're fine with Yahweh, great. He has a name. He's not God.
But that's not the subject today.
Exactly.
About that.
All right, let's go with where you were going. You headed on a very good track. So let's continue on that.
We're on a controversial show, so we're not afraid to take on controversy. So, okay, getting back. So we're talking about the 6,000 years, and you've already established it comes from Leviticus 25, and you've already said that it's 50 times 120, and you've associated Genesis 6:3 with Leviticus 25, right? That's what Daniel and Bishop or Governor and Jackson, you've all said that, correct?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You've all just stepped over a line and you made a mistake and you don't even know it yet. So you're correct and you're wrong at the same time in that understanding.
That's par for my course. About half right.
Hey, I've been doing that for almost 20 years.
Let me ask you another question then, because I don't know where all your beliefs are. When do you keep Pentecost? What day do you keep Pentecost on?
On the Enoch calendar, on the Dead Sea Scrolls calendar, but that again, that's a moot point unless we.
No, it's an important point.
All right,
because I need to know how you believe here. Do you believe that the Pentecost is on the Sunday, 50 days after the beginning of the barley harvest?
Don't tell me we're wrong on that too.
I just asked a question. Yeah.
Well, it's
not on the barley harvest.
Not on barley harvest.
Okay, so you don't follow the barley harvest. No. When does the count to Pentecost start for you?
When Norman Gray says it does.
Norman, when does it start? If you will chime in here, when does it start? Is your mic good? His mic's probably dead as a doornail.
All right, it starts on the 26th of Eve, or 26th of the first month, which always falls on a Sunday.
Okay, so let's avoid the Enochian calendar stuff, but you start on the Sunday and you count 50 days later. Am I right there?
Yes,
pretty much so. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're using Leviticus. You're using 7 Sabbaths to count it, correct?
Yeah. Leviticus
Okay.
23.
Yes.
Leviticus 23. Okay. So let's go to Leviticus 23 then. I'm looking for common ground is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for controversy, even though you say there's a controversial show. I'm looking for common ground, because on that common ground, then we can build an understanding so that you understand what I'm talking about. Because I'm all pumped up about my subject.
We love you, Joseph. Go right ahead. Honestly.
No, please. I don't want you to love me. I want you to love Jehovah.
We're going to sell you.
We're not going to love you then.
Leviticus 23, verse 15. Daniel, go ahead and read that for me, will you? And I want you, let's see.
Leviticus 23, let me get there.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
And I want you to read verse 15 and 16.
Okay. Let's go. Oh my goodness. Listen here. Give me a moment when I get down to 15.
I thought you had technology going there, Daniel.
I do. Can you hear me? I'm almost there. Hold on.
Daniel's visually challenged.
You said 15 and 16?
Verse 20, chapter 23, 15 and 16, yeah.
Yeah, okay, here we go. And for the morrow, after the Sabbath, for the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, you shall count for yourself 7 completed Sabbaths, 16. And to the morrow, after the 7th Sabbath, you count 50 days. Then you shall bring a new grain offering to Yahweh. That's it.
Okay. Jackson, I heard you say Daniel's visually challenged. Did I hear that correctly? Is that true, or are you just...
Yeah, that's true. No. As a matter of fact, there are 2 of us that are using screen readers to read.
Okay. I apologize then for my little...
No, man. Look, you don't have to apologize for that. It's good. It's good.
Okay, no,
It is what it is.
Well, I didn't know. Now I know. Okay, so now you are counting 7 Sabbaths to get to the 49th day, correct?
That's correct.
And then the 50th day is the following day, correct? Okay, Daniel's frozen.
Sounds right.
Okay, so it's 49 days, and the 50th day is what day?
Mr. Dumond, if I may respectfully say, I don't quite understand where you're going with this. I'd like to just say, I think, well, from my point of view, we have nothing in common. I do not follow the corrupt King James Bible, and I follow the Enoch calendar. So with all these calculations, we're not going to agree on that. So just present your case, and then I think that's the better way to go, as opposed to trying to find a common ground. You'll find no common ground with me, I'm afraid, on the calendar issues.
That's fine. You can sit there and listen, Norman. That's fine, because I'm looking for people on the common ground. We just said that we had that you keep the 7 Sabbaths, and the Pentecost is on the 50th day. Is that not common ground?
Well,
Yeah.
that's debatable.
Yeah.
Because I haven't personally looked at the Hebrew, but there is an understanding that you add 50 days to that. I can't really explain
50 days to what?
To the 7th Sabbath. Josephus talks about the day, the morrow after the 7th Sabbath being a minor celebration, and then 50 days after that is another celebration. I haven't personally look
Okay, so-
at it, but that's an understanding that it's not salvific enough for me to argue for or against.
Well, what you're saying is the same thing that the lunar Sabbath people do. They keep it 100 days after the start. We're not there. We're not doing that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the 49 and 50, which Daniel and Jackson said that we're on common grounds with here.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. The 50th day, what day is it? That's my question. What day is that?
I think
we call it Pentecost. We call it Shavuot.
Shavuot.
I think he's
Okay,
talking about maybe the date of the day or the.
No, I'm talking about what day is it? What day is it called? It's called Sunday,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, what day of the week is Sunday?
Go on.
Well, I'm asking a question. Is it the first day of the
day.
week? You guys are throwing some curves at me here. I want to make sure we got this all down.
Yeah, first day of the week.
Yes,
Yes,
first day of the week. Sunday.
absolutely.
So Sunday
Yom
is the
Rishon.
first day of the week. It's
Mhm.
also the 50th day of the week, or 50th day of Pentecost, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to Leviticus, and Daniel, go to Leviticus 25. I want you to read again for me.
All right, hold on one second.
No, keep going. I'm not going to make any fun of you this time.
Okay, we're in Leviticus, correct? We want to go to 5?
Leviticus 25. And I'm just trying to find the verse here myself. Okay, start in verse 8.
Okay, give me 1 second. And we're going to 8, correct?
Verse 8, 25:8. That's correct.
And you shall count 7 Sabbaths of years for yourselves. 7 times 7, 7 times 7 years. And the time of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be to you 49 years. And we're going to go to 9.
Yep, go ahead.
Is the word Sabbath actually in there? In most biblical literature, just says sevens.
No, this says Sabbaths here. You shall then sound a ram's horn to pass through on the 10th day of the 7th moon on the day of atonements. Cause a ram's horn to pass through all your land.
Okay, so that ram's horn is blown in the 50th year on the Day of Atonement. Now, did you notice, Daniel or Jackson, did you notice that the similar wording of Leviticus 25:8-9 to Leviticus 23, whatever we just read? It sounds very similar, correct? Count 7 Sabbaths, and then the 50th day is after that. Now you count 7
It's not in there.
yeah,
That's supplied.
okay. So the way that you count to Pentecost is the exact same way you count to the Jubilee year. And the point I'm trying to show you here and trying to get you to understand is that the first day of the week is also the 50th day, and the first year in the count of the Jubilee cycle is also the 50th year of the previous cycle.
Yes, I've heard that before. But see,
Okay,
I don't know
so-
anything much about Jubilee years because we haven't found anybody but you that could really tell us when that was.
And we're here to get me on here to explain it to you.
Yeah.
When do you think it is?
When do I think? Well, no, I don't think. I know.
Talk
I
to
don't
us.
go around talking about things I think about because my opinion is worthless. But the things I know are of value.
Talk to
So we
us.
have, you have, go to Daniel, go to 2 Kings 19:29.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
And we're going to go 2 Kings. Ooh. No, don't do that to me.
And if you hear any noise or kids coming in here, I got all the grandkids showed up here today unannounced, and they just running wild throughout the house. So
2 Kings, what chapter?
2 Kings 19, verse 29.
I thought you had those memorized.
And what verses again?
29.
Okay.
Just 29. And go ahead and read it, Daniel, when you're ready.
Okay. Oh. Oh. Oh, I went down too far. Oh, there it is. And this is the sign for you. This year you eat what grows of itself. And in the second year, what springs from that, and in the third year, sow and reap and plant vineyards and eat their fruit.
Okay, let me bring Norman back in here because Norman doesn't agree with anything I say. So I want Norman to tell me what this verse means if he can. And I'm not trying to be smart or antagonistic. I'm just trying to include you in the conversation. And if you don't want to, let me know and I won't bother you again.
No, that's okay. Carry on. I'm listening to what's going on.
Well, what does Leviticus or 2 Kings 19:29 mean? What does it say to you?
I'm not there yet. I'm just listening in on you guys, and I'll listen in. Thank you.
Okay, Jackson, how about you? Do you know what this means? Can you tell me what it says?
2 Kings
19:29.
29.
Daniel, you've read it. They're looking it up. What's it mean?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. To me, it seems to be saying that at a certain point, you do and you store up for this Jubilee year. After this Jubilee year, you may eat of the fruit of it.
How did you get a Jubilee year out of that?
How did I get it? Because it's the only thing that it could be talking about. It's the only thing.
How do you know that? Tell me, how do you know that?
Let me show you. Hold on. I saw something in here. Okay, good.
Is this not just a word to Hezekiah?
Well, okay, so that'll be the next question. Who's this to? What's the circumstances this is being said in? What's going on here? Go ahead, Jackson. Tell us what's going on here. What's this verse about?
Before, in 28, it says, because this is Yahweh speaking, because your rage and arrogance against me have reached my ears, I will put my hook in your nose and my bit in your mouth, and I will send you back the way you came. And this will be a sign to you, O Hezekiah. This year you will eat what grows on its own, and in the second year what springs from the same. But in the third year you'll sow and reap, and you will plant vineyards and eat their fruit. Sounds consistent with what you're saying, yes.
Yeah, but hang on. I'm not saying anything. I want you guys to tell me what you're reading.
It sounds like a sabbatical year. They're eating what they can.
Exactly.
On their own. However, this is extended out second year, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what that looks like to me too.
Very good. You guys are you're both correct.
Oh, thank goodness.
Hallelujah.
Okay. Jackson?
Yeah.
When did this take place?
Well, in the latter reign of Hezekiah.
And it happens to be one of the most undisputed dates in history of all renowned chronologists.
That's true.
What date is that?
Is this 789 or 523?
701.
701. Well, it was right in the middle there.
Okay. Are you guessing or were you quoting somebody?
No, I was thinking about if I could remember when these Israel and Judah were banished.
Absolutely.
You can look it up, and you could, but only look it up by respected chronology. Don't look at the goofballs on the fringe. Okay.
Yeah.
All respected chronology.
Yeah, I accept
all respected chronology say that this event, when Sennacherib comes against Hezekiah, and Isaiah reads this to him, which is a message from Jehovah to him. This was the year 701 BC.
Okay. Is that the same year that the 10 tribes went away?
No, the 10 tribes went away. 20, 30 years before that, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. 21, something 721 or 722, depending on
I remember this now. This is when they came up against Hezekiah. I remember this.
This is 701 BC. Okay. Daniel, if this is 701 BC, what does that mean?
Talk to us, because I'm not sure.
Okay, well, it means that this year you shall eat what grows of itself. A sabbatical year. Right?
Yes, okay. I thought that.
You guys just told me, I didn't tell you, you guys told me that this was a Jubilee year because of the next verse. In the second year, what springs are the same? When do you have 2 years back to back that you can't grow stuff?
Only in that time. Only
49th and the 50th year. Okay. And then in the third year, so that's 701 is 49 and 700 is the 50th year. And the year after that, you can plant and sow and eat and harvest.
In that particular case, yeah.
Okay. What have you got here? You've got a pure gem. You have a 49th year that's defined by all renowned chronologists to be the year 701 BC. And from that date alone, you can calculate every 49th year going forward and backward, and every sabbatical year going forward and backward throughout the entire 120 Shana of mankind.
Depends on which dating method you use. I know on our dating method, for instance, and in the Jewish dating method, that there were weeks gained and lost.
No, there was no years changed or lost.
Well, like on the Jewish calendar. On the Jewish calendar, they took out 240 years.
That's correct.
135 AD.
Actually, that's not correct. that's a fallacy. That's a fallacy that's being promoted. It's not correct.
It's in the Seder HaDorot.
I'm sorry, it's not correct.
There
are no missing years. You can do the entire chronology, which is the document that I sent you, Jackson, the other day, based on Genesis 1 through to how do I go there? Genesis 1, the birth of Adam, up until the coming of the Israelites into the promised land so many years later. You can do that chronology.
We'll give you that.
Okay, well, hang on. I don't want you to give me. I want you guys to know this, because I want to leave here today, and I want you guys to say, damn it, I learned something.
Well, how do you address the Jewish historians that will say, yes, we did lose that time? How would you address that?
I don't. Let's just look at the facts and let the facts address all these other conspiracies that are out there.
So what you're saying,
facts alone will prove everyone else false.
The calendar, I guess the Jewish calendar never has lost or put on more days. It's perfect in its days from those times.
We're not talking about the Jewish calendar. We're talking
about what calendar are you doing this on?
The sabbatical and Jubilee years. We're counting years, starting in Genesis 6:3.
Yes, but you're going to have to translate this over to some calendar in the end to let us know when this is, right?
Oh yeah,
we're wanting to get ahead on this.
You're going to do it. I'm not going to do it. You're going to do it, because if I tell you, then you'll disbelieve it.
Why do you want to make this so hard, Joseph? You're not that smart.
Go ahead, Joseph.
You're
You have a
smarter than
point.
the average bear, and if you want to play stupid, that's up to you. But if you invited me on here to talk about the value of your cycles, and you learn, and then Neil tells me at the start this is a controversial subject, and I said, what? Well, then let's learn, because I'm dealing with a hostile audience.
No, you're fine.
The Jubilee cycles isn't what's controversial, but maybe the way that you found it, because it differs from ours, or it's something that we've not studied as much as you have. That would be the idea. All of us, I believe, understand that what the importance of Jubilees. They might date them differently. We might see them differently. Obviously, we're on different calendars, but we think we understand Jubilees as being important and vital.
Exactly. By the way, Allison, is 2 Kings 19, verse 29. Go ahead.
Okay. So, if it's important, then why aren't you keeping it? Governor, you just stated that. Why aren't you keeping the Jubilee year or the sabbatical year?
Well, maybe everybody hasn't figured it out like you have. Maybe not everybody sees it that way, or sees it as, because they say, some would say, if you're in the land, you do it. If you're not in the land.
Okay, let's address that right now. That's a great question.
And some also probably don't really care about it either. There are those too, I'm sure.
Yep.
Like you said, there are a million crackpot theories about this.
Right. I mean,
we would love to know when it is.
I gave up pot when I was about to go to jail. So that's and crack I never got into. So
never got into that.
Yeah. Let's go to Leviticus 19. And we're going to address the subject that Governor just brought up. And I got to look for it here, though. 19, let's start there. Oh, well, okay, here's a homework assignment. Let's save some time here. This is a homework assignment. Write this down. Go to Leviticus 19, and it says in there a number of times that when you come into the land,
absolutely,
you shall keep the Sabbath. So the argument the governor just brought up, I'm not saying governor is promoting this argument, but it is an argument some people, some crackpots bring up, is that Leviticus 25:2, it says, or 25:1, it says, when you come into the land shall keep a Sabbath. We are not in the land, therefore we don't need to keep the sabbatical year. And that's their argument.
I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
I think if you know when it is, you ought to be keeping it.
Exactly.
Good. But let's address the argument that Governor mentioned. Not that he's supporting it, but people do bring it up. Leviticus 19, it says, when you come into the land, you shall keep a Sabbath. Well, I'm not in the land, so why do I need to keep the Sabbath? I don't need to keep it. That's the same argument they're presenting for the sabbatical year.
That doesn't work.
Oh, yeah, well, it works for some people. It also said in Leviticus 19, when you come into the land, you shall not prostitute your daughter.
That's right.
Therefore,
or handmaiden.
Or handmaiden. Therefore, we're not in the land. We can prostitute everybody.
That doesn't work neither.
What?
It doesn't work.
That's the argument being presented here for not keeping the sabbatical year.
Or a gossip.
Or what?
Or gossip. Yeah, exactly.
It also says, when you come in the land, you shall not mar the sides of your beards or put on tattoos for the dead. Well, we're not in the land. We can mar the sides of our beards all we want and get all the tattoos we want.
Doesn't work either.
So the argument, okay, and I'm not picking on Governor, but he mentioned it, and it's a good thing to mention because we have to address it, is that this is a false argument that some people put forward for not keeping the sabbatical year.
Yeah, I agree.
Where's your beard, Joseph?
I'm not in the land. I don't need to grow one. Right? Hey, that's Leviticus 19. Let's go right there. 19:17, I think it is. No,
and where's your cowboy hat?
Cowboy.
Well, I can read this off for you if you like.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to see where it says that. I've been going through it, but I'm not finding it. fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be as uncircumcised unto you, it shall not be eaten of. And in the 4th year, all the fruit thereof shall be holy, to praise the Yahweh, to praise Jehovah withal. And in the 5th year, you shall eat of the fruit thereof, that it may yield unto you the increase thereof. I am Jehovah, your Elohim. Did I go far enough? You want me to go
No,
farther?
keep reading, keep reading.
Okay.
Because
You
we're
shall
still
not-
saying it's still in that same section when you come into the land.
Yeah, right.
Keep reading.
You shall
Go
not eat
on.
anything with the blood, neither shall you use enchantment nor observe times.
But we're not in the land, so we can drink all the blood we want.
You shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you.
But we're not in
I
the land,
am
so we can make
Jehovah.
all the tattoos we want and worship the dead and pray the dead and keep Halloween. We can
Here-
keep Halloween.
Halloween, huh?
Here's the one you said before. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom.
But we're not in the land, so we can do it.
Well, this land's fallen to whoredom, I would say.
That's right, because everyone's practicing this because we're not in the land of Israel.
Or you shall keep my Shabbatot
Mm-hmm.
and reverence my sanctuary. I am Jehovah.
Yahweh.
But we're not in the land, so we don't need to keep the Sabbath or the holy days.
Doesn't work that way neither.
That's certainly what the church has told me numerous times.
But
Because
do
it
you
says
see-
that the
Do you see the fallacy of the argument that some people put
Yeah, it's-
forward for not keeping the sabbatical and jubilee years?
I see it.
So in Leviticus 25:2, where it says, 25, where are you?
What are
25,
you using there, Joseph?
I'm using eSword.
Ah, okay. Yep,
Eastwood
that's what I was
Online.
using.
I have two.
I'm using the same thing.
Speak
Speak
unto
to
the
the-
children of Israel and say unto them, when ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Shabbat unto Jehovah.
So
Mhm.
should we, who are in wherever we are around the world, listening to this right now, should we be keeping this in Holland? Should we be keeping this in the United States? Should we be
Absolutely.
keeping this in South America,
Everywhere, wherever you've been sent.
but not Korea?
Well, maybe not North Korea.
Oof.
No, I agree with you. Yes.
Okay.
Kitty cat and
So
a
we,
bit-
we're supposed to be keeping it. So then the question is, why would Jehovah give us a command that we're supposed to keep and not tell us when it is?
Obviously, he has told us in some way.
Well,
And, maybe you've
where
got
is
the
that?
goods here. Well, Joe Dumond.
yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first
No,
part of that, Jack.
maybe you're the spirit of prophecy there to tell us when this is.
Yeah, but
honestly.
you know, there are people that do not like anything I say and therefore dismiss everything I say because they don't
Well-
like my spirit of prophecy.
We're going to love them anyway.
We might have to get a rope, but we'll love you anyhow.
It'd be a big rope to hang on to me. Okay,
Okay, let's get on.
so
with
now
it.
we've established that it's to be kept everywhere. We've established when it was in the year 701 BC plus 700 BC as a Jubilee year. So now you can count either by 50 or by 49 and get every sabbatical and Jubilee year throughout history. So how do I get my screen up here? Can I get my screen? Can somebody give me the screen?
Yeah, you can you
Share screen.
Whoops, hang on.
click on the share and then choose what screen you want to share.
Yes, that'll work. That way everybody can see exactly what's going on there.
I turn on my
There you
camera.
go. Turn on your camera, Joe.
There we go. It's good. We
My
can
camera.
see it.
Oh, can you
But
see it?
these kind of charts, they baffle me. Need to have them explained.
Okay, I'm trying. Well, I'm going to get rid of this one. I'll go to the one underneath it. Can you see that?
Yes,
Okay.
impressive.
Okay, so now I'm just scrolling down. I sent this to you, Jackson, the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone wants it, you can go to my website, setedmoon.com. And under the library, the section on charts, this chart is there. You can get it for free.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't want to get it for free, you can go to the store and you can buy it. Okay.
I've been out to your site and I listened to some of your podcasts.
Okay. So now, hang on. In the bottom right-hand corner is the year 1. This is the year that Adam was created. So I just started counting every 7 years to get a sabbatical year in the 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, and 49th year of Adam's creation. And I just started counting forward until I got 120 of them. So on the right-hand side of this chart, you'll see that there's another side over here. The one on the left-hand side is according to the Gregorian calendar. So these numbers here, minus 3836 is 3836 BC. Now, Daniel, you're seeing impaired. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm doing here? Unmute yourself, please.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I understand it.
You understand it?
Yes.
So 3836 BC is equivalent to the year 1 when Adam was created.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we just count forward 120. So one Jubilee cycle, you see the number 1 here in the middle? That's the 50th year. That's the first 50th year after Adam was created. Okay? Daniel, I want to make sure you're with me, Daniel.
Yes, yes, I hear you. I'm with you.
Okay, but because you're seeing impaired, I'm not sure. Can you see this at all? Are you
actually the best way to do it, describe it. If you will describe it, then the governor and I can understand it.
Good. Is Governor seeing impaired too?
Yes,
I am.
Okay.
But the numbers you're describing.
Then what I have here. Okay, so what I have here is a chart from 1 to 7 for one sabbatical cycle. 8 to 14 is the second sabbatical cycle. 15 to 21 is the third sabbatical cycle. 22 to 28 is the fourth sabbatical cycle. 29 to 35
fifth.
42, and then 43 to 49 to give you one Jubilee cycle of 7 sabbatical years. Okay, so the 50th year, as we've already discussed, is also the first year in the next counting. So in the second sabbatical cycle, the first year is 50, and it goes to 56, and 56, the year 56 is the sabbatical year.
Gotcha.
Okay? Now, so then we just count by 7 from then going forward. Now, I've shown you already that the year 36 BC matches our year 1. How I figured that out, we're not ready there yet, but I'm just showing you that to show you the other side of the chart. We're just going to focus on this right side, the first Jubilee cycle. We've already established in Genesis 6:3 that there are 120 of them, right?
All right.
Okay, so now I'm just going to scroll up my charts until I get to the very end, the 120th Jubilee cycle. This covers the entire 6 millennial days of mankind.
I see.
Good. So, hang on, let me get there. And yeah, here we are. So here we are in the 120th Jubilee cycle, which is the one we're in today, but you have not yet figured out how we got that calculation to be understood.
Can you point to it? Can you point to it on the chart with your cursor?
The what? The year we're in right now?
Yeah.
Right here. Can you see that? 5855. That's the year we're in right now.
5855.
Okay. Now, 5880 is 120th, 49th year. 5881 is 120th Jubilee year. Okay, Jackson, you can see my mouse up here.
I'm looking for your cursor, but I can't see it.
You can't see that waving back and forth. It's even gotten bigger. Can I draw on here? How do I draw on here?
Well, you should have a palette of tools.
Okay, now you're going to get me into technology I don't know anything
about.
about.
I know.
Well, you actually described, just tell us what that year was that you tapped. I know the first one was 58 something.
58, 55.
Yes, I remember that one. And what's the next one after that?
Oh, yeah, I see your cursor now.
Okay, so 5880 is the 49th year of this Jubilee cycle.
Okay.
And right here is the 120th Jubilee cycle, the completion of the 120th Jubilee cycle.
And which one is that?
That's the one we're in right now.
Okay.
The Jubilee year, the 120th Jubilee year, is the year 5881.
Okay.
Okay.
So when should we have sounded the ram's horn?
On atonement in 5881.
So that would be this coming atonement. We would, as the past one.
No, you've gotten ahead here. You've missed a step, Jackson or Daniel. We have 120 Jubilee cycles. I've shown you counting it with the creation of Adam, the start, and now I've counted 120 Jubilee cycles later, multiplying 120 times 49 to arrive at 5,880.
Okay.
Okay. So 120, Genesis 6, 6, 1, or 6, 3, 6, 1, or 6, I forget, is 120 times 49, 5,880 years.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's what I've shown you on the left-hand side. Now, right now, that doesn't mean anything to us until you do the chronology.
Right.
And you must do the chronology starting in Genesis, the creation of Adam, because God said, in the day that you eat of this fruit, you shall die. Well, Adam didn't die that day.
No, he didn't.
He lived to be 930 years.
Unless you understand that as because he died of
a millennial day.
Right.
Well, I don't understand it that way. I take everything literally, or most everything literally. But Daniel or Adam lived to be 930 years old. Now, I'm going to show you something here, another chart that I have. And these are the 6 millennial days, or 1 millennial week for man. So here's the first millennial day on the left-hand side. It starts. All I'm doing is counting Jubilee year or Jubilee cycles. So the 49 here is the first Jubilee cycle. 98 is the second. And we go all the way down to the end of that 20th Jubilee cycle. It's 980 years. That's the end of the first millennial day. Adam lived to be 930. In the day that you eat of this fruit is the day that you shall die. This millennial day is the day Adam died. So now we've taken the Jubilee cycle, the Shana, and multiplied by 120 to get 7 or 6 millennial days of mankind. That brings us up to the year 5,880 since the creation of Adam. But where are we in this? Where is 2019? Where is that in this? See, that's the key here. You have to, how do you jump from what we've just explained now?
You'd be just right there if you took the Seder Hadorat as advice. We would be right where you want to be by taking out that 240 years.
Okay, I'm going to have to.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that's okay. I don't mind flies, but you can apply this afterwards, and you're going to see that it won't work.
Okay.
But I want you to do it. I want you to try and apply it afterwards. Okay? You're going to be more familiar with your theology than I am. We just don't agree on it.
We'll get one of our secretaries to work it all out.
Okay. So we have a problem now. We now know when all the Jubilee or sabbatical and Jubilee years are because of 2 Kings 1929. What we don't know is where are we in Jehovah's chronology? That's what we don't know. But there is a way to figure it out. And you want to know what that is? Let's go back here. Still got my on screen, so I'm going to go back here. Leviticus 25:1.
Hey, Joseph.
Go ahead, Wilson.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the screen is so small, your chart. I didn't know if there's a way to possibly, or if you would be willing to zoom in or show another page, because the numbers, you can't see any of the numbers at all.
Oh,
There
my
should
chart
be a
is
zoom on
magnified.
there. Yeah, it should be.
Zoom it.
Mine
You
is
want-
zoomed. I'm zoomed in as big as I dare go.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the only one looking at the comments that are having this issue.
Can you
Okay.
zoom? What's your name?
Wilson.
Wilson, can you zoom in?
I'm not really concerned for me. I know the charts somewhat, but I was just for everybody else and seeing some of the comments.
Okay.
on the side. But I'm going to mute myself and.
How
Okay.
do I zoom in on this? How do I make this bigger than mine's already very, very big?
Then I think that as
There's a link
individuals,
that somebody just posted.
Sorry? Joshua, you're speaking?
go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, there's a link. There is a link. I think Allison posted it that you can go to pull up the website.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
what I'm doing. It helps me get a better look at what's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Let me do that. I'll go to my website and pull up the link.
Yes, and you can put it in the chat.
Just to add, that's my experience also. The screen is very small. You can't see the numbers.
Right.
Okay.
Now, if you could zoom, for those who want to look at directly at the screen, if you could zoom in on your stuff, because he zoomed it in as big as he can do it. But if you could zoom in on your individual device, you should be able to see the numbers.
Okay. How do I get back to chats? Yeah. Everyone.
Allison, can you put the
There's the link.
there
on
it goes.
the
There
chat.
it is. Yep.
Okay. So if everyone wants to go on that chat or link on the chat there, then you'll have the charts yourself and they're yours. Keep them, download them, print them off, whatever you want.
Exactly. Go ahead. This is very interesting.
Okay, so right now we have a problem. We have a 120 Jubilee cycles starting with Adam that multiplies out to be 5,880 years to the end of the 120th Jubilee cycle, except we don't know when they are, but we do know in 2 Kings 19:29 that the God, Jehovah, tells us the 49th year and the 50th year, starting in 701 and 700 BC. So, on this chart, let me get rid of you. On my charts, or on the charts that you now have, I hope everyone's downloaded this and put it there, right? If you go on the left-hand side, you're going to go down to 701 BC.
Ah, I see.
Hang on, where are we? I haven't found it yet. 700 and 701 BC. You should have it on the left-hand side of your charts. In the middle, the number in the middle in yellow is 64. 700 BC is the 64th Jubilee cycle. Now again, we haven't figured out how I know that yet. So
You're
what
a
we
man-
do know is that from Solomon, I'm sorry, Jackson?
You are a man of mysteries. You're unveiling this kind of like you would eat an artichoke.
Well, yeah, you
Step
can't
by
just jump
step.
to the end and expect people to understand it. They
Exactly.
don't. You have to start at the beginning,
Mhm.
and you have to build upon that to understand it. The same way I learned it.
Exactly. This may have to
Okay.
be a series.
Well, I've got over 40 hours of teaching on it, So if you want to try and learn it in a 1-hour session, then good luck. We have another book on my website called The 2300 Days of Hell. It's 750 pages with over 700 plus footnotes. Again, explaining this in great detail. We have the Remembering the Sabbatical Year of 2016. Again, explaining this in detail, which is the part we now got to get into.
Okay.
How do you know? You have.
What we're doing here is that we're wetting the whistle, so to speak, and this goes out to podcasts and YouTube and stuff.
I forgot my master. Trigonometry? No, not trigonometry.
Oh, you use it for anything until the hand calculator came in.
That's right.
I used one in school to try to figure out those problems.
So did I. You and I went to the old school, so yeah, we both know what a slide rule is. So on a slide rule, you slide it back and forth. We have a slide rule here. When you compare, I guess, are we still on my screen? So we can go to Leviticus 25, 1 and 2. When you come into the land, speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land that I give you, the land shall keep a Sabbath to the Lord. That is a Jubilee year. It's the first year in the land, because in the next verse it says, for 6 years you shall sow your field, and for 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather in its fruit. So you start your counting at that time. Okay, that's a pretty big assumption on my part, but let's prove it. How do you prove this to be a Jubilee year? Leviticus 25:2 is telling you the year you come into the land is a Jubilee year.
Yes.
How do you prove it, though? That's my statement. How do we prove it? We have to do the chronology from the creation of Adam. So on these charts here, on the charts, if you go down to the year 1 on the right-hand side, and then open up your Bible, the Genesis, what is it, Genesis 10 that gives you the dates. Let me just pull that up, make sure I got that right.
Yes.
I think it is.
Genesis 10.
And it's just the families of the world.
You're thinking of maybe 11?
11?
Yeah, I think that's what at least that's what the family of Shem is detailed.
No, I don't. No, I want the years that they were born and when the next
That's
one
10, I think.
Is that 10?
I think it's 10, yeah.
Let me just.
10 is the genealogies of the families of the
It
world.
doesn't give us the dates, though. Where's the dates? I want the year that Enoch was born. I want the year that Abel was born. Not Abel. That.
Is it 9?
6?
No. What about 11? Try 11. And
I think he tried 11.
It must be 9 then.
5.
5?
5, okay.
Yeah, someone else said it too.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why I thought it was 9. No, I'm curious.
Yeah, it looks like it's 5.
Hold on.
I don't see it in 5. I'm in 10. No wonder.
Hold up.
Well, we've got
5, 1.
Enoch.
Okay, yes, 5 it is. You're okay. Thank you, whoever said that. Thus, all the days of Adam lived 930 years. When Seth had lived 105 years, he fathered Enoch. Seth lived, so here you're given the chronology. And on my charts here, okay, so on my chart, you'll see these little yellow squares filled in, and at the bottom is what's going on in that square. So at 130 years after creation, Seth was born to Adam when Adam was 130. And then we have 255 we have Enosh born to Seth when Enosh was 105. So what I do here is I walk through the chronology and I take it from Genesis all the way up until the Exodus. When we get to the Exodus, it takes you into when they come to the promised land in Joshua. You do that chronology, and some people make mistakes. There's a couple places where people make mistakes. One is when Shem was born, Shem and Noah. So some people say Shem was 500 or 502. And that 2-year difference is what we have to sort out. There's the other one is when Abraham was born to, what's his father's name? His father's name, and they say that he was either 120 or 130 or 70. And you have to do that chronology. So what I do in the book, to remember the sabbatical years of 2016, is I go through both chronologies using both 70 and 130, and let's see if it adds up to be a Jubilee year. Only one will. And what I've proven is that or 230, whatever it was, when Abram's father was 230 years old, Abram was born. What's his father's name?
Terah.
Terah. Thank you. So that's another controversial point doing the chronology that people get messed up on. So you go through the chronology and it brings you to the time when Israel entered the promised land, 2,500 years after the creation of Adam. So we have that here, and that happens to be the year in the middle, in the column of these charts, is the 51st Jubilee year. The year that Joshua entered the promised land was 2,500 years after creation. Now we know the year they entered the land was a Jubilee. Excuse me, I've got this cough coming on here. The year they entered the land was a Jubilee year, 2,500 years after creation. We also have another piece of information from Genesis 6:3, 120 Jubilee cycles. So we have a math equation here. Take a piece of paper and a pen and write this down. Getting back to math. X plus Y plus Z equals W.
Okay.
The W is the 5,880 years. That's Genesis 6:3. That's how much time is allowed for man.
That's the
We're
whole
going to make
formula.
Pardon me?
That's the whole cube formula, an algebraic formula. How? What do we put
No,
in?
this is just addition. This isn't an equation. It's a simple equation.
It's a simple equation, but what do we put in for the variables here?
Yeah, but we're not trying to figure out a cube. Is what I'm trying to say. Okay. The answer is 5,880 years. We've already established that as being 120 times 49. Now the X part we've just got is 2,500 years from the creation of Adam up until they entered the promised land.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's put in. We're going to put in the Z part now. So we have. Okay, knowing 2 Kings 19:29, we know every sabbatical Jubilee year going forward and backward. So using 2 Kings 19:29, we know that the last Jubilee year was 1996. Again, you figure that out by counting from 701 BC.
That's what I got when I was doing this reckoning.
What did you get?
1996.
Yay!
Right on. I mean, this is 10 years ago.
Well,
but
good.
I thought, this can't be right. Nobody else says this.
That's right. And I said the same thing. Nobody else does it. And I found out that nobody else did do it.
I'll be darned.
Jackson, you should have been talking to me. Well, maybe we were talking 10 years ago. That's when we were talking. I think you guys were asking me to come and be a part of this school, and we had differences, so we didn't.
Yeah, I might have. We certainly did. But that's one thing that we have in common for sure.
Good.
I mean, for my own calculation back then.
Brilliant. This is brilliant. So what we don't know is where we are in the chronology of Jehovah. But you've just shown us that the last Jubilee year was 1996. And that means that the next one is 2045. Right?
Sounds good. 2045?
Okay. Will be the next Jubilee year. But what we don't know is which one it is. So now we go back and we count. So we're trying to figure out Z right now. X plus Y plus Z. So what we do know is that from the fourth, let's go to, where am I going? I want to go to 1 Kings 6:3.
Oh, you know, I have this on an old web page when I was doing it. It's still out there someplace. I'm going to have to go look at that too, because it's got to be more than coincidence to come up with this number out of every one that is possible.
That's right. 6, what am I doing here? 6-1. Okay, 6-1.
What's 6-1?
1 Kings 6-1.
Okay.
We're going to get a couple numbers here to help us with our equation. In the 480th year after the people of Israel came out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziv, which is the 2nd month, he began to build the house of the Lord, the house of Jehovah. Now, there are two numbers here that are really of interest to us. The 480th year, because we already know when the Exodus took place. That's on the chronology counting from Adam. But we also know when Solomon lived. And this is the chronology that all historians don't argue about. So the 4th year of Solomon, let me just pull up here my chart. The 4th year of Solomon is 967 BC.
That sounds just about right.
So, okay, so now you got a calculator there, Jackson? I want you to do this. Tell me when you got it ready.
I'll call up a calculator. Let me find
Okay.
it. I got it.
967. So add 967 is the BC year. So 967. And I guess 2045. Add them together. What'd you get?
3012.
Okay. So in your equation, put down for Z 3012.
Okay.
That's the time from Solomon's 4th year until the next Jubilee year of 2045. Now we have another number there in 2 Kings. In the 480th year, so after the, when is it? After the Exodus. Now, we made a mistake here. We've added 2500, the year they entered the land. What we need to do is get the year the Exodus took place. Right? So where is that? Let's go back up here on my charts on the right-hand side. We've already done the calculations in the chronology. Where am I? Oh, I'm in the
somewhere
wrong section.
1200.
No, that's a guess. You're guessing.
Yeah,
I don't want any guesses here.
We try to study.
You're about to find out, Jackson. That's wrong.
All right.
And you're going to be able to prove it's wrong.
Again, there's
by
so many
this chart
on this that trying to sort them out is tough.
Yeah, but we're not talking theories. I'm trying to show you facts.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we've done the chronology on the right-hand side from Adam to the year 2500 when they entered the promised land. So the year, I just shot myself in the foot here. I got to do this a different way. I'm cheating. Okay, so you take 480. Let's see, how do I do this? And the year they entered the promised land was 20, or the Exodus was 2458 after creation. So instead of 2500, take that out and put down 2458. Okay, so you have
2458 after
the creation of Adam.
Right.
Again, we're working with a slide rule here. We got to try and figure out how to jump over to our Gregorian calendar to know when all these things took place. We have 2 Kings 19:29 telling us 701 BC, so we know that's a fixed date that we can use, but again, we don't know where it is on this slide rule. So Genesis and Exodus tell us 2458 after creation. Again, you must all go and do your own chronology and double check my figures here. And I've had thousands of people do it and nobody's found any mistakes. So 2458 plus Y plus 3012 equals 5880. So you take 5880 and you subtract 3012 and then you subtract 2458 and you're left with a number. What number did you get, Jackson?
I'm just writing it down here. Okay, we got 2458 plus 3012. Let me clear this out here. 2458 plus the 3012 minus, that would be minus the
5880.
5880 minus 5880,
or 5880 minus the other number. Either way, it doesn't matter. One or the other. Just what you get. What total did you get?
well, I must not have done that right, because I got, let's get the X, Y, and Z again.
Okay, X is 2458.
Right.
Z is, and Y we haven't determined yet,
Okay.
but we have 3012 for Z.
Plus 3012.
Plus 3012 is Z.
Okay.
And all of this equation must equal 5880, correct?
Okay, that's, so far it's 5470.
Okay, in order to figure out what Y is,
Yeah, 410.
right,
It came up before with.
okay. So now there's a little mistake in there that you may not have noticed. There is no year zero, so you have to add a
Right.
year in here.
So we want to add 411.
411. But now we have a problem.
Well, we got 5881.
Okay, so you got to take a year off of the 3012. That's where the year zero is added in there. That's
Yeah.
the problem, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, back to your scripture. In the 480th year, after the people of Israel, what? Okay, hang on. So Y is 480. Now what do you got, Jackson? You've got 2458 plus 480 plus 3012. What do you got?
5880.
No, you don't.
Did I do something wrong?
Well, you just made an assumption. You do the actual counting. 2458 plus
Try it again.
480 plus
2458 plus 4
3011
plus 4 what?
480.
Okay.
And then what's the next number, Joseph?
I'm trying to look at two screens at once here.
Okay, 3011. Okay, we had to take out a year
Yeah.
for the year zero.
Add that.
Add that up. What do you get?
5949.
And that means that right now, Well, okay, so now, but hang on, that's to the year 2045. 2045 is how many years from now?
I don't know. Probably won't be alive at that time, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you do have to worry about it. Because you could very well be alive at that time.
That would be 16 years.
How much?
26 years.
26 years. So let's take 26 years off of this 5949.
Okay.
Put you at 22.
Okay.
Put you at 59.
23.
23.
23.
Hmm?
59, 23. What does that tell you?
It says that we should burn the house down. No, I'm kidding.
Actually, we're still over by 43 years, according to if your calculation is 5881 is a 42 or 43 years.
Governor, say that again. Start again. Start again, Governor.
Oh, sorry about that.
Say what you just said.
We're over by 42 or 43 years. Because you said 5880/81, but this thing's saying that the calculation you've got here is 5923.
You're over by 69 years.
40, well, yeah, 69,
That
but if
means
you
that right
subtract
now
the
in
26.
20. Oh, yeah, okay.
I took off
Minus,
26 years.
You have
If
to
you-
subtract something.
If you subtract the 26, you'll have 43. You'll be over by 43 years.
Mm-hmm.
43. You're right. You're right. So what does that tell you, Governor?
Well, it's still, like I said, you're over by 43 years in the you'd be into another cycle.
2019 is already the 7th millennium. If we're going by what we just said here, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, and
So
I think
where's the
a lot of people here would believe that.
Where's the Moshiach, and why isn't it all the wicked burned up?
Well, there's
Yeah.
a reason for that.
Well, hang on. It's because he's not here yet, and we're not in the 7th millennium. So there's a mathematical mistake.
Mm-hmm.
The 7th millennium hasn't started yet.
Exactly.
Well, I say it does. Now show me where I'm wrong.
I say it has it.
Okay.
Show me where I'm right.
Well, Joseph says that he's got
Okay,
facts. So I want the facts, not your opinions. I get enough of those as it is.
Very
Just
good.
the facts. Just the facts.
That's just the facts, man. Just the facts. I want to go back to your Bible. I want to go to Adam Clark commentary.
Isn't that like going outside of the King James Version?
Okay, give me a little leeway here, Jackson.
What are people going to think about
Give
that?
me some leeway here.
All right.
I'm gonna sell you. No, I'm kidding.
Adam Clark's?
No,
That's a
that's not
oldie.
the one. Who else am I looking for? F.B. Meyer? Oh,
Yes.
no.
Is that S.D. Moyer?
No, hang on. Okay, I gotta go. Just give me a second. I gotta go search this out now.
Take your time.
This is this.
While you're doing that, let me just ask if you're interested in being a part of our controversial topic series. It's every Shabbat at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Make your mark in the chat so I can find you again, and I'll send you the information on that. Because definitely we're going to be doing this again, this one.
How many people are in the here with us today?
30 some, 42.
Very good.
That is good.
3.
All you need to do is just write your name in the chat and I'll come find you. Send you an email. I'm going to have trouble finding Mike, though, except I know he's in Oregon.
I I have a commentary, and it's eluding me right now. I don't know where it is. I thought it was in my eSword, but it doesn't.
Well, we can find
Is
that
this
later
it?
if you give
Hang
us.
on, oh, I got it here. I got it.
Okay.
In Bible Hub, in the 480th year, it is impossible to discover how this date is arrived at, or to make it fit in with other statements of the Old Testament, because this is the only place this 480 years is mentioned in the entire Bible. The LXX has the 440th year, Josephus the 592nd. If we put together the numbers which we find in the Old Testament record, we have 40 years between the Exodus and death of Moses, 40 years peace of after Othniel, 80 years after Enod. Jabin's oppression lasted 20 years. There were 40 years of the peace after Barak, 40 in Gideon's time. Tola judged the land 23 years, Jar 22, Jephthah 6, Ibzan 7, Elon 10, Abdon 8. The servitude of the Philistines lasted 40 years, and Samson judged 20 years. After this, we have as dates Eli 40 years, Samuel 20, at least 20 for Samuel, David 40, Solomon 4. This makes a total of 498 years. But we cannot be sure that some of the judgeships were not contemporary or overlapping one another. And what I'm showing you here is that all the commentaries, all of them, have a different number of years for this 480.
I would trust the Septuagint before I would trust the King James Version.
The Septuagint, what I say is 400.
LXX.
400, well, 440. There's another one, 420. But we have no two that match each other of all the commentaries, all the different versions. No two match. We have no second witness to this. We have a problem with this 480 years. If we do our chronology, which we've done, and we do it correctly, which we've done, then we should be, where's my chart? Let me get out of this and come back into the,
okay.
How do I get back into the chat or the rooms with everybody?
Down at the bottom, you pop it up.
Stop share.
Stop share, right?
There we go. Okay. We have a problem. The 480 years doesn't fit. We have no second witness. We have no cooperation from commentaries. When we do the chronology in Judges, we can't figure it out. Judges is after they enter the land. Something's wrong. So we have to leave that, which is why we left it as a blank when we did our math here, and we came up with 411 years. The 411 years brings us to the year 5880. We know that there's only 120 Jubilee cycles for man, therefore this 480 must be wrong. If it's not wrong, then we have no idea when the Jubilee years are.
Well, there's an awful lot of articles on that 480 on the internet, and I would say probably no two of them have the same resolution.
I rest my case. I rest my case. So we do know that there's 580 years because of Genesis 6:3. We know that. Now we have to figure out where we are. We know where there are Sabbath and Jubilee years because of 2 Kings 19:29. And when we put this chronology together, we line up the year 2045 with the year 5880. Only then can we come back and find out when these events took place. And the Exodus, Jackson, took place in the year 1379, not 1250 or 1450 like all these archaeologists are guessing at.
1329?
1379.
That makes some
sense
to us.
Or 14, well, yeah, 1379, not 1250 or 1450. Again, but that also will give you the date for because the Egyptian chronology was adjusted by David Roll by 300 and some odd years. he needs to adjust it by another 60 years to come up with the chronology that matches the Bible. And although I've written it to him and explained it to him, he's still not going to do it. And therefore he's out, and he's going with the Exodus of 1250, no, 14, what's he going with? He's going with either 1250 or 1450, and I forget. And he's still off.
Allison, I just want to make a note here. Note how close that figure for Exodus is to the reign of Akhenaten.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Akhenaten is the Exodus pharaoh.
Really?
So,
This is something we do every Wednesday night. We go through trying to find the chronology of these dates. And so you brought it into this particular session. And that's
Well,
going to be helpful.
I have an article about the pharaoh of the Exodus. The rest of the story or something to that
Who do you
effect.
think it is?
I believe is Akhenaten.
Okay.
King Tut's father.
Yes.
King Tut was the child that died at Passover night.
Thank you. That's excellent.
That's interesting.
But you can only understand these things when you understand the Sabbatic and Jubilee cycles, because then you have a basis for all your understanding to go by. And because of that, people think I'm arrogant when I say stuff, because I'm saying it from a basis of facts instead of a wishy-washy position like most people have. It's not arrogance, it's just I have the facts. Now, we have 89 sabbatical and jubilee years dates to match our findings that the Jews kept, that they kept records of the sabbatical and jubilee years. We have tombstones, 30 some odd tombstones from the Zohar that we found, and they're trying to match them up to the Hebrew calendar. The Hebrew calendar is off.
Oh, yeah.
They base the chronology, the years, I'm talking about the years, they base the years on the finding of Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi fudged the years in order to make Simon Bar Kokhba the Messiah in 130.
That's what I've been telling you about. The Seder HaDorot, Dorot, has the missing years in there when the dates were changed to make Bar
Kokhba, the Moshiach.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the chronology that the Jewish people now use, which is wrong.
What should it be, you think?
What should what be?
Well, instead of that 480 or whatever it was, I can't even remember now.
The 480 is nothing. You want to know, you have now got the chronology in front of you. You can go back and see when the Persian kings were.
Yeah?
Yeah. So if you understand that the Seder Olam is a fudged chronology, which is used by the Jews today in order to make Simon Bar Kokhba the Messiah, because he had to change the destruction of the first temple and the second temple. He had to make them match in order to make him the Messiah. And that's what he did.
That's what that
And we have a section on that in our book in a lot of detail. Remembering this Battle Gear 2016. We have
Do you
all the
have that
calculations
book?
that we just did.
You have that book?
It's in our store there. You can order it.
We'll get it.
I do not have it in Braille, though. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, because I can get it in electronic.
We get an electronic format, and we can work with it as long as the graphs are going to be difficult in that format.
Awesome.
But the text, if there's
there are a few graphs in there, but
if they're explained in a way that
they're not that big a deal.
Very good. Very good then.
I'll tell you what, you guys get the book. You guys get the book. You translate it into Braille or however you can read it. And if you have problems with it, you email me and let me explain it to you. The part that you can't figure out or it doesn't make sense.
Very good.
I'm open to that.
I'm still.
I've had a number of people write me in Braille, and I don't. Sorry, Jackson.
When are you talking about? What's your calculation then of when the millennia is to start? The beginning of the last.
The seventh.
When?
The seventh millennium.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you just figured it out with me.
Well,
you know that 58. No, you know that 5880 is the end of the 120th Jubilee cycle. And we just did the math here and know that.
How's that on the Gregorian calendar?
Well, you just did the math with me.
I know it.
Okay, so if you know it, why are you asking me?
I think the figure is 2045 or something like that. 5880.
Hang on. Governor, you listen, because I think you can explain it to him better. I hate answering questions. I got Jewish blood in me. I like asking questions with a question.
Ask questions.
I want to make you think, because I don't want you to say, Joe Dumond said this. I want you to say after I left, I now know how to figure this out. Okay? So
right,
you did the math. You did the math. You know that 2458 is to the Exodus. You know that 480 is wrong and that it's 411 based on the 580 years. And you also know from the 4th year of Solomon to the next Jubilee year, which is 2045, is 3,011 years.
Well,
and
that
all fits in the equation of 5,880 years. You know that, right?
I just want you to tell me the date. So I know when the rapture is going to happen.
He wants you to cheat.
Oh, yeah. You're opening
Jackson wants to cheat.
You know that 2045 is the next Jubilee year, and that 2045 matches the year 5881. That's the start of the 7th millennium.
Okay.
Right? Now, I don't want you to believe me. I want you to go back and prove all this stuff.
That's what's so urgent about what we do, because one way or the other, no matter how you calculate it, it seems to come out very close to our time, and we're the forerunners of whatever's going to happen in the next 1,000 years as far as the resurrection and ruling the earth and so forth. That's why it's so important what we do right now.
Well, yeah, I've been telling people that, and some of them are starting to listen in and get the idea.
Message, and yours too. Let's see, maybe we are cousins. We got a family name in common.
Oh my!
But
you imagine if they're cousins?
Yeah, we have a strong difference of opinion concerning the Enochian calendar versus the crescent moon calendar.
Oh, that's all right.
You're
wrong. You're wrong on that. We know, but you might be right on this.
Oh, you're so arrogant, Jackson. Come on.
Let them eat each other up before us.
Hey,
anyway, that's another discussion.
Can't we disagree and still be friends? I mean,
we'll find out next week when you post something bad about me.
Oh my goodness, it can't be that bad.
I'm not posting anything bad about you, brother.
So now, Daniel, Governor, Jackson, and whoever else is here with your group, do you guys know when the sabbatical and jubilee years are? And do you know how to prove them?
Yes.
Governor?
I could say that I can certainly listen to this recording to find out.
Right.
I don't remember everything, so and there's a lot here.
Absolutely.
You also have access to the book.
Exactly.
Remember, it's about a year 2016. You can get that, and you can play that back and forth. It goes over everything I've just said in greater detail.
What's the name of the book, Joe?
Remembering the Sabbatical Year of 2016. Now, there it is. Johan's got it up there if you can see it. Johannan? So, okay, so now, if you guys can understand it, now you can go back and prove this. My question is, because you asked this question of me when I asked you, what are we going to talk about? Or what was the question you had, Jackson? You said, why is this important?
I say it is important now.
Well, why?
It's urgent that this generation do something about this. Be more concerned about the world and keeping track of Yahweh's holy days right now than ever before.
Okay, but it's still, why is this? You're right, I agree with you, but why? Why is this so important? Like, who cares?
Ask too many questions.
No, the answers are revealing. Governor, Jackson's not cooperating here. Governor, you help me. Why is this important to know?
Ask Randy Cates.
If they have to observe it in some kind of way, it's obviously important to know, and it also has something to do with the Daniel prophecy. That's interesting. We'll probably think a little differently about that. However,
Hang on. You just brought up a huge thing. Big time.
Yeah.
How much time do we got? You got a little bit of time left?
Yeah, you can go 10 more minutes. We want to hear
10 minutes. Okay, get ready for a crash course.
Okay.
You now have the chronology. You now have 120 Jubilee cycles. Open up your Bibles to Daniel 9. Daniel 9:24. Daniel 9:24. I'm not going to wait for you to catch up because now I'm on a 10-minute teaching session. It takes that I wrote, 750 pages about.
If you will, we'll do it again.
This Daniel 9:24 to 27 are 4 verses. The 2300 Days of Hell, the book that I wrote, is 750 pages talking about only these 4 verses. That book you need to read. 70 weeks. Okay, right there. 70 weeks. What's that mean? If you look up the word weeks, it's not talking about a 7-day period. It's talking about 70 Shabuah. The Hebrew word is Shabuah. And Shabuah is short for Shavuot. Daniel is talking about 49 cycles. So it's not 70 times 7, it's 70 times 49.
Yeah, right.
What's 70 times 49? 3,430. 70 weeks, 3,430 years are decreed for your people. What people? Who are the people he's talking about?
Judah?
No, it's not about the Jews. It's about the 12 tribes of Israel. All 12 tribes. 13 tribes, whatever, 12, 13, whatever one you want to use. When did they become a people?
When they stood on Mount Sinai.
Very good. When was that?
Oh, the exact year? You said the Exodus
1200 maybe?
happened in 2458.
Go ahead, Governor.
The Exodus happened in 2458, so probably in that
No.
year, or 2459.
But 2459 to 2430.
Don't overthink this, gentlemen. You got it right. It's 2458 after the creation of Adam.
Okay.
When Israel became a nation, when they crossed the Red Sea, not the Dead Sea, the Red Sea, the Exodus. That was the year 1379 BC. Okay? You go to the chart, you look up 1379 BC. I'm doing it here on my thing. You'll see that just happens to be after the 50th Jubilee cycle. So from the going forth of the command, what command? Nope. So, okay, so if this is about Yeshua, let's just answer this question. The decree, 70 weeks are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgression. Is transgression finished? No. To put an end to sin. Is the sin still going on today? Yeah. Well, it's not over then. To atone for iniquity, as the atonement done? No. To bring in everlasting righteousness. Is that here yet? No. So this is not talking about the 70 times, 490 years to Yeshua became to Jerusalem. That's not it. This is bigger than that. Know therefore and understand, verse 25, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the word to restore and build Jerusalem, when did that word go out? Is that when Nehemiah came to Jerusalem?
Seems like it would be when Ezra read the word in the ruined sanctuary.
I think that was at Sukkot, wasn't it?
So this is 455, 454, 400 and some odd years BC, something like that. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so you're using the 70 times 7 chronology to add 400, 490, 483 to this 455 BC. That brings you to around 27, 28, 29, 30, depending on which chronology you want to use, depending on which Christian teacher you want to follow.
I think that this is more contemporaneous. I'm thinking about 165.
Okay,
BC.
Jackson, back up. I see I got the hard-headed one right here. Jackson. 70 weeks, 70 Shabua is not 70 times 7. It's 70 times 49. 3,430 years.
Okay.
It's got nothing to do with Yeshua.
Cut to the chase here. You're suspended.
Start verse 9.
Okay. Verse 9. Do you want King James Version?
I don't care. Whatever one you got, I don't care.
Now, therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. I got to click to get to the next one. Come now, therefore, and I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
Stop. So now I'm going to go back to Daniel 9, and I'm going to read verse 25 again. Daniel 9, 25. Know therefore and understand from the going forth, from the going out of the word to restore and build Jerusalem. You've just read the first time. That's one. Okay? Because we're addressing Daniel 9:25, but we're reading Exodus 3. Carry on. Verse 12.
You don't want 11?
Oh, you already read 11.
No. And Moshe said unto Elohim, who am I that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt?
Yep, carry on.
Okay. So he said, I will certainly be with you, and this shall be a sign to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve
me here on this mountain.
That's the second time he said, I'm going to send you.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
Then Moshe said to Elohim, indeed, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, the Elohim of your fathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? Oh, we know this one. And Elohim, are you all right?
I'm looking for my Bible. I found it. I've got these marked down in my Bible. I want to make sure I don't miss it. Keep going.
And Elohim said to Moshe, I am who I am. And he said, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you.
There's 3.
Then, moreover, Elohim said to Moshe, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, and the Elohim of Yaakov has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial to all generations.
Verse 16.
Working on it.
Yep.
I have to go verse by verse on this thing.
That's okay. I'm just reading it so that people know where we are.
Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say to them, Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, of Yitzchak, and of Yaakov appeared to me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen what is done to you in Egypt.
That's 4.
And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey.
That's 5.
Then they will heed your voice, and you shall come, you and the elders of Israel, to the king of Egypt, and you shall say to him, Yahweh Elohim of the Hebrews has met with us, and now please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to Yahweh Elohim.
That's 6.
Okay.
6 times Jehovah said, I will send you. 6 times, as we just read in, oops. Oh, now I'm on freeze. 6 times in Daniel 4 or Daniel 9.
Exodus 3.
No.
Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro.
Hang on,
priest of
hang on.
Midian. And he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God.
I'm sorry, that was me. I hit a wrong button on my thing. Genesis or Daniel 9 says that you're to go from the going forth of the command. And we've just read 6 times Jehovah giving that command to go and bring the people back at the Exodus, just before the Exodus, when they became a nation. Okay? So now, going back to Daniel, and let's see, I got to bring that back up. Applications. Oh, great. I think I just deleted my eSword. Oh, there it is. Okay. Going back to Daniel 9, let's continue reading it.
Okay, 19.
No, Daniel 9.
Okay.
Okay. So know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the word, that's when Jehovah said 6 times in Exodus for Moses, go and get my people. Going forth of the word to restore and build Jerusalem. Did Yeshua ever restore and build Jerusalem?
He tore it down.
He didn't build it. He didn't do anything to it. The Romans tore it down. But Yeshua didn't restore and build Jerusalem. Who did?
Who restored Jerusalem?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you might say the Romans did.
Now the Romans tore it down.
In Barnabas, it says that those.
Hang on, you're using a book that's not in the King James. Don't use that book yet.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
The Catholic Church?
No,
Know therefore, Daniel 9:25. Know therefore and understand that from the going out of the word to restore and build Jerusalem and the coming of the anointed one, a prince. Who's the prince? There shall be 7 weeks. That word weeks is Shabuah. There shall be 7 49s. So from the going, if you look in those charts from the Exodus and you count 7 sabbatical cycles or 7 Jubilee cycles, 7 Jubilee cycles, that will bring you to the time when King David, the prince, the anointed one, the Mashiach, comes, and he's the one who captures Jerusalem, and he's the one who rebuilt the rampart and rebuilt the Milo and rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. King David did, not Yeshua.
Okay. So that doesn't, that particular passage really has nothing to do with Yeshua, or is that like an alternative interpretation?
Not alternative. It has nothing to do with Yeshua at all. It's talking about 7, because when, everyone uses the 490 year or 483 year.
Oh, yeah.
They don't say the 7. What's the first 7 talking about? It's talking about 7 Jubilee, 7 weeks or 7 Shabuah here. No one ever talked about 7 Shabuah, 7 50-year cycles. Then King David is here, the prince.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. So now, after listen closely. And after 62 Shabuah, 62 weeks, so now you're talking 62 plus 7 is 69. That brings you to when? Okay.
Babylon, maybe?
Hang on, Daniel. Get your calculator out. 69, right? That's 7 plus 62 times 49 is 3,081 years. So from the Exodus, 3,089 years, or 3,381 years later, brings you to, okay, now this is rounded off. We're talking about Jubilee cycle. So you go to the Jubilee cycle of the Exodus. That brings you to 1996. 62 Jubilee cycles later, after King David, brings you to 1996.
It sure does.
And after 62 Jubilee cycles, an anointed one, who is this anointed one? This Mashiach. It's not talking about Yeshua. Is Yeshua going to come back and be cut off again? An anointed one shall be cut off and shall have nothing. Okay, so you look up the Hebrew in this. This is talking about the apple of Yeshua's eye, or Jehovah's eye. That's Israel. Israel is the anointed of Jehovah. Israel is the one that's about to be cut off. The 12 tribes, not just the Jews, the 12 tribes. All 12 tribes will be cut off. And that word, have nothing, is be as if they never were.
So what are you saying happened in 1996 to correlate with this?
It didn't happen in 1996. It says after 1996. We are in the 70th week of Daniel right now. We are in the 120th Jubilee at the end of the 6th millennium.
So you're saying that at a certain point, all 12 tribes will be cut off?
I'm not saying it. Daniel just did.
All right, let me ask you a question.
And you, hang on, Daniel, you just interpreted what Daniel just said. Not me. You did. Go ahead, Jackson.
You did. So many of these heretics say that the 69th week goes to
$500 AD all the time, because we just don't know. And that is a false teaching, false doctrine altogether. There's no such thing as this.
Pick that up as a gospel truth. And
that's right.
I think so many people are deceived by that nonsense.
When you do not keep the Sabbath or the holy days, you must come up with all kinds of other theories to keep your flock paying their tithe.
Now, let me ask you a question, Joseph. We're going back to this, the 12 tribes will be cut off. Now, when we say cut off, they'll be as if they never were.
Yep.
Okay. Why?
Why? Why? Okay.
And you do realize that that means us too, correct?
Yeah. This warning is for everyone on the screen, everyone here sitting here listening to this. Okay. Now, hang on. No, that's not right. This warning is for everyone who is not keeping the Sabbath and the holy days and the sabbatical years. So this warning is to those who are still sinning out there. This warning is for the whole world, not just the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes, judgment, Peter says judgment is on the house of Israel first. And if we, how does he say, if we are barely saved by the skin of our teeth, what's going to happen to the rest of the world? So right here in Daniel 26, Daniel 9:26, have nothing, be cut off and be as if they never were is what the Hebrew refers to. And the people of the prince, who's this prince? This is Satan, who is to come, shall destroy the city, that's Jerusalem, and the sanctuary. Now listen, this word sanctuary, go and look it up. It can't, it's been interpreted as sanctuary here, but it means saints, the saints. He shall come and destroy the city, Jerusalem, and the saints. It shall come with a flood, and to the end there shall be war and desolations are decreed. That's the time we're living in now. This is about to begin. How do I know? Read verse 27. Now I'm going to come back to your question, Daniel, about why. So don't let me forget that. Why is this happening? I'll come back to it. Verse 27. And he shall make, I'm way over my 10-minute left reading. And he shall make a strong covenant. What's that? I'll give you the quick, it's the Paris Accord. The Paris Accord began as the United Nations Environmental Program in June 1972. He shall make a strong covenant with many for 1 week. 1 week, 149-year period. That covenant in 1972 started with 113 nations around the world. The Paris Treaty, the Kyoto Accord, Agenda 21, Rio plus 20. There's a bunch of other ones in there. Are all the same.
Working on that too.
Are all the same United Nations Environmental Program to save the environment. In 1915, the whole world came together. In 1916, just before Trump got elected, every one of the nations around the world, 197 of them, agreed to the United Nations Environmental Program called the Paris Climate Change Agreement or Covenant.
You mean 2016, not 1916. You said
Yes,
2016.
2016. Sorry.
Didn't Trump opt out of that thing?
Yeah. He only, but Obama signed it in 2016.
Yes, he did.
And the United States is locked into it for 4 years. And this week, November 4th, President Trump signed the papers to start the process of getting out of it, which will only happen at this time next year, after the election of a new president or President Trump again. So this covenant made with many is this United Nations Environmental Program. What's wrong with that? Saving the environment, hugging trees,
well, it's a lot more than that.
Clean water, that's all good stuff. In 2000, or actually in right at the very beginning, they added the Human Rights Declaration. So what has human rights got to do with the environment? Nothing. But they added the Human Rights Declaration to this. In 2011, they amended the Human Rights Declaration to include LGBTQ. At that time, you began to see President Obama endorsing the optional bathroom. You had to put a third bathroom in all your places now. You got his, hers, and those who don't know what they are.
How ridiculous.
And then everywhere Obama went, he started to push the LGBTQ agenda. Prime Minister Trudeau, everywhere he goes, he runs to the front of every LGBTQ parade. Hey, I'm here. I'm part of you. You know?
So you're talking about not only the UN
all I
agenda.
seen was your hand, Daniel. I didn't hear what you said.
I said, I'll scratch your ass out. Oh.
You're talking about the whole UN agenda, which is 17, I think, different programs having to do with a lot of things. This latest time they came together, they were criticizing it because they didn't do any more on human rights. But they went all to environmental.
Can somebody, Jackson, just let me interrupt you for a minute. Can one of you people that know what I'm talking about, go to my video. Okay, Randy Cates has got his hand up. Go to my video, The Great Enlightenment, parts 1 and 2, post it in here, the chat section. Let these people watch it. These are 2 3-hour sessions that we did. I spoke at the feast at Falls Creek Falls, Tennessee in 2013. It was the first time I was able to put all this stuff out step by step, logically, one step after another, to explain these 4 verses in Daniel 9. And Jan, you're waving at me. Did you put it up there? No? Okay. And we got these videos came out. We recorded every one of the teaching. I spoke all 8 days. I was the only speaker that year. It was awesome. These teaching are now out there. We have had.
Did you hear me? Joe, did you hear me?
No,
Was that, who were you speaking for, Vishem?
no, that
And
was for Sukkot in Falls Creek Falls, Tennessee,
yes,
2013.
that's correct. I think that was Vishem, or might have been some other group, but we know a lot of people in this area because we live here.
Ah, okay. Well, it wasn't Vishem. It was 4 ladies. Said it would be really neat to get together for Sukkot because I'm tired of sitting home by myself. And Judith happens to be one of them, yeah. And they said, Joe, would you come? And I said, no. I said, no, I'm not going to go sit with 4 ladies for Sukkot. And they got a whole bunch of people to come together, and my plans fell through that year. And you know what? I said, I'll come. And then someone said, why don't you videotape your stuff? And we were able to get a very good videographer to come and do it. And Jehovah blessed that feast beyond my wildest imagination by 4 women just saying, why don't we do something this year? 4 ordinary women. It was awesome. Those videos have now reached, they're over 2 million. The latest one I did about the President Trump and Balpure is already at 700,000 in just, 3 years. We did that as soon as Trump got elected. We made that video in November that year. It's phenomenal. Anyway, all those videos are there, and yeah, they're online here now. The Great Enlightenment of Mankind is about Agenda 21. It's about the Paris Accord and how it's an evil thing based on the LGBTQ plus a whole bunch of other things, and making a covenant which you're not supposed to do with another God. So let's go back to Daniel 9:27. A strong covenant with many for 1 week, and for half of the week he shall put an end to sacrifice and offering. Now, this is a difficult one to figure out. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe this is when we will no longer be able to pray or anything to Jehovah, or keep the feast or anything. So that's is to come. When? Where does it say in the middle of the week? Oh, for half the week. So, okay, so my version here is half the week. Let's go to another translation. Let's try the English. And you should make a strong covenant with many for 1 week and for half the week, in the midst of the week. So it's the midst of the week is the words that keeps, oh, there it is, the ASV. And he shall make a covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease, and upon the wing of abominations, one that maketh desolate, and even unto the full end, and that determined shall be poured out upon, wrath be poured out upon the desolate. In the midst of the 70th week, in the middle of the 70th Jubilee cycle, excuse my English or French, but the feathers are supposed to hit the fan. So if 1996 is the start of this Jubilee cycle, Jackson, if 1996 is the start and 2045 is the end, what's the middle?
Somewhere around right now.
Well, be more specific than that.
Now, you expect me to do that in my head?
I thought you had your calculator out there.
Oh.
2020. 2020. Guess what?
What I said, something like
this
right
covenant
now.
made with many. This covenant made with many in 1972, 49 years later, is what, Jackson? You got it out yet?
You said 2020.
Yeah, but 1972 and 49 is what?
Okay, wait a minute. 1972. Well, I could figure that in my head. Plus 40.
No, it's 2020 also. Okay? So we have two things here in Daniel 9 coming together.
I got 20.
Yeah, but you don't count. You actually got to do the counting because you don't count that 1 year.
Okay. 2020. That's like a couple of months from now.
Yeah. The year starts in March, so it'll start after March. Earth Day was started in 1970. The 50th anniversary is April 22nd this year. Interesting that it's the 50th one. It's interesting that the 49th year ends in 2020. It's interesting that the middle of the 70th Jubilee cycle since the Exodus is also 2020. Now, Daniel, you asked me a question. Why? Why? I thought we're all supposed to just be good kids and go to heaven. Go to Leviticus. Okay, we read Leviticus 25, but Leviticus 25 comes just before Leviticus 26. In Leviticus 26, we're told, these are all the blessings I'm going to give you if you obey. If you obey. How much of the world is obeying right now?
Nobody.
Where are all the Sabbath synagogues right now? All around the world. Where are they all?
In houses.
Everywhere.
And most of the places that we know of, they're all hiding in houses or off grid somewhere.
Well,
yeah,
Israel.
you can probably count them all, Daniel, on your hands and toes. They're in Israel. But they're right. You're right, Daniel. There are some in homes and stuff like that. But the majority, out of 7 billion people on this planet, it's a 0.0000 something that keep the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Out of those that keep the Sabbath, the Seventh-day Adventists, us, Messianics, Church of Gods, how many of them keep the holy days?
Very few of them.
Church of Gods, Messianics, and the Jews.
I would actually disagree with you about the Seventh-day Adventists. And I didn't
say Seventh-day Adventists.
They don't keep the feasts.
They don't keep the feasts. That's what I was saying.
Right.
Now, out of all of them, so we've now eliminated Seventh-day Adventists. Now we've got this other block. How many of them keep the sabbatical year?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Well, my group, I don't want to call it my group, but those who have learned from me do.
Yes, but nobody really thinks they know when that is. Maybe if they were enlightened, then you wouldn't be the only group flying up to heaven.
Hey, I've been teaching this since 2005. I've spent tons of money on it. Yeah. Advertising, begging people to interview me, trying to get on every Christian talk show that is out there. I've written the heads of state. I've done all I can.
Of course right now,
I'm saying, screw you. Yeah. It's not my message. It's Jehovah's message. Let Jehovah open those doors. I'm tired. I got this flat spot in my head from banging my head in too many doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
But time is running out. Time is running out. So back to Leviticus 26. The first 13 verses tell you, here's what I will do if you obey. Here, I'm going to give you the world if you obey. Then he starts in verse 14, and I'm going to read it. But if you will not listen to me and will not do all of these commandments, they're only for in the land of Israel. They're not for us here in the West or wherever you are. Will not do all these commandments. If you spurn my statutes and if your soul abhors my rules, so that you will not do all my commandments, but break my covenant, and we're going to sign another covenant with a whole bunch of other people to keep, I will visit you with panic, with wasting disease and fever that consumes the eyes and make your heart ache. And you shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. Where do we ship all our grain, all our food to? Mm-hmm. Lots of other world. We just re-entered the contract with China. Watch how that works out. I will set my face against you, and you shall be struck down before your enemies. Those who hate you shall rule over you, and you shall flee when no one pursues you. When's that happen? If you look at all the rockets being shipped into Israel right now, they're running for their lives, and yet nobody's chasing them. When's the last war the Americans won?
It wasn't Vietnam.
They didn't win that one. Did they win in Korea?
No.
World War II.
Yeah, World War II. You
World
shall
War
be.
II, in a way, they lost because of Russia coming in and taking the territory that really.
Well, they didn't fight Russia. They fought against the Germans. They won that war.
I thought they probably should have, like Patton said, we should just keep on going straight to Moscow.
Well, yeah, a lot of good that would have did.
Yeah,
it wasn't time.
I
We
think
beat
Patton
them.
might have been right, but we didn't do it.
Right.
Right.
At that time, the Second World War is the last one we won. We haven't won anything since then. I will set my face against you, and you shall be struck down before your enemies. Those who hate you shall rule over you. Who is ruling over the United States? The EU, the UN, until Trump comes along.
Yes.
And if in spite of this you will not listen to me, then I will discipline you again sevenfold. What's he talking about here? Well, we just talked about the sabbatical and jubilee year cycles before. So this sevenfold is in reference to the sabbatical and jubilee year cycles. This is a 7-year punishment plan. Again, that's Joe Dumond's interpretation. You don't have to agree with that. You can think of something else, fine. And I will break the pride of your power. There's the power of the United States is the army. And I will make your heavens like iron and your earth like bronze. Anyone seen what's going on in California the last couple months? And no one here from California because your power's been turned off.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Hang on, Daniel. Wait, Daniel, 1 second.
Okay.
Has anyone seen the what's going on in New South Wales, Australia right now? They haven't had rain all winter. Now they're coming into the summer season and they've already got wildfires. They have cities running out of water, not just like towns like of 50 people. These are major cities with no water because of this drought that's going on there. This is what we're reading right here. I will break the pride of your power and I will make your heavens like iron and your earth like bronze. Go ahead, Daniel. Now, what were you going to ask me?
Okay. If you look at this, because it's also repeated again in Devarim.
Yep.
Okay. It looks to be as if he's talking to the people on the ground, all 12 tribes at that time.
Yeah.
All of those things look to have happened. How do we tie this to current events?
These cycles, as we just read 7 times, and we're going to read it again here, are referring to each sabbatical cycle. These curses recur each time throughout history when you disobey them. And we've got, with David committed a sin. He sinned by having the head counting and numbering the chronology or numbering Israel. And what did Jehovah give him as a choice of each of the punishments? He gave him a choice of 3. Those 3 are one of these curses, which tells you what time when he did this. It happened to be the 4th sabbatical cycle. If you don't understand the sabbatical and jubilee cycle, you would never know when that curse took place, that David had to pay the price. And he said he will throw his fate in Jehovah's lap, and he'll, what do? Let them suffer with a pestilence instead of a sword or famine? So these things repeat all the time, and we've documented it in our book, Remembering the Sabbatical Year of 2016, that throughout history, you can see these same patterns over and over and over again. Let's carry on here. Verse 20 of Leviticus 26. And your strength shall be spent in vain, and your land shall not yield its increase, and the trees of the land shall not yield their fruit. Ask the orchards. Look at the orchards in California. They're plowing them under because they can't give them water. Then, if you walk contrary to me and will not listen to me, I will continue striking you sevenfold. Again, 7, a sabbatical cycle for your sins. And I will let the wild beasts against you. I will loose the wild beasts against you, which shall bereave you of your children and destroy your livestock and make you few in number, so that your roads shall be deserted. I had a hard time figuring out what this meant. I'm thinking sharks. I'm thinking dogs. I'm thinking bears, lions attacking people. I'm thinking big stuff.
Well, you would think it would happen more often, though, than just once in a blue moon or in one particular area. I know that there's a lot of message going around that we can expect this to be happening every place rather than in just isolated locations like bear attacks and so forth.
Well, what I found out was I was looking the wrong way. The mustard seed, these wild beasts that he's sending out are not, they're smaller than ants. They're called bacteria and viruses. And I've documented that during this third sabbatical cycle, because this is the third curse, during this third sabbatical cycle, going all the way back to the plague, every third sabbatical cycle, these diseases come out in the tribes of Israel because they're still not obeying. So that was kind of scary.
That's in Revelation too. Wild beasts, I think that it has to do more with bacteria and disease than bears and lions.
Well, he sends the plagues of Egypt, and yeah, I believe this is what it is. The micro rather than the macro, which took me a while to figure that out. Mm-hmm. Verse 23, and if by this discipline you are not turned to me, but walk contrary to me, then I will also walk contrary to you, and I myself will strike you sevenfold for your sins. Again, the sevenfold thing, the sabbatical cycle, and I will bring a sword upon you, and that's the cycle we are in right now. The fourth curse, the fourth sabbatical cycle. That shall execute the vengeance for the covenant. What covenant? The covenant of Mount Sinai that we are not keeping. The Sabbath, the holy days, sabbatical years. And if you gather within your cities, I will send, that micro army, pestilence among you, and you shall be delivered into the hand of your enemy. We are about to go into captivity. The 12 tribes of Israel, the greatest, most powerful nation on earth, is about to be defeated the same way the most powerful nation of Egypt was defeated by Jehovah.
Is there a more righteous nation on earth, though, right now? Where's the righteousness of that remnant nation? It seems like the United States, for instance, is probably despite what it does, the most righteous nation on the earth. It lends its hand to every situation, world policing, hunger. The missionary movement came out of here.
I agree with what you're saying, and at the same time disagree. Right now, I would say Israel is the most righteous nation. At least they keep the Sabbath and the holy days, even though they keep them at a different time.
That's true, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they do try and keep the sabbatical year, but they keep the sabbatical year at the wrong time based on the Seder Olam, again, that we've already mentioned.
But isn't that the same thing when you said all 12 tribes shall be cut off?
Yes.
That doesn't let them out either.
No, it does not. Because, Daniel, if the Sabbath is the seventh day, but I want to say the Sabbath is going to be on Sunday and make Sunday my Sabbath, is that okay?
Absolutely not. Now, if you called it the Lord's Day, that's a different thing altogether, and kept the Sabbath day Sabbath, which is the Shabbat, that's a different thing altogether, because that's spoken about in the Didache.
Well, if I wanted to say the Sabbath is Friday and keep Friday as my Sabbath, is that
doesn't
okay?
work. Doesn't work.
But I've been raised to believe that Sunday is the Sabbath. So am I okay?
No, I was raised the same way.
So
we know that it's not.
I'm still sinning then, right?
If you keep the Sabbath on a Sunday, absolutely.
Even if you did it not knowingly.
Even if you did it not knowingly. However, he will allow for a time of mercy.
Yeah,
but once you do know.
He winks at our sins, yeah.
But once you do know, and hear me on this, once you know that the Shabbat is on the seventh day, you are held accountable.
Yeah, but even if you don't know, you're still held accountable by nature itself, right? Nature speaks of his Torah, his laws. So what I'm telling you is, even if you think you're a good person and you go to church every Sunday and you sit in the second pew or the third pew from the front, even if you're in the front pew, even if you're the preacher and you're not keeping Torah, you're sinning. Even if you're keeping the Sabbath, but you're not keeping the holy days, you are sinning. And if you're keeping the Sabbath and the holy days at the right time, but you're not keeping the sabbatical years, you are sinning. Ouch. That affects everybody. It's why it's so important to know when the Sabbath is, and it's so important to know when the holy days are and to do them right. And it's so important to do them the sabbatical years at the proper time, starting from Aviv and going to Aviv, and not starting at Rosh Hashanah and going from Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so there are curses that are coming. And here, where are we? Verse 23.
I would say that if that's so, then they're already happening.
Yeah.
They're not coming. They're already here, because to say that they're coming would be to go against his word. His word says, I will.
This is an e-hug. I don't know if you see it, but I'm giving you an e-hug. That's right, Daniel. You're right. They're already here. Jacob's trouble started with this Jubilee cycle in 1996. The Sanhedrin announced Jacob's trouble. When did they do that? 2010, I think it was. Maybe 2005, I forget. But they announced it. But they didn't know exactly why, but they knew it was here. Leviticus 26:23, and if by this discipline you are not turned to me, but walk contrary to me, then I will also walk contrary to you, and I myself will strike you sevenfold for your sins, and I will bring a sword upon you that shall execute the vengeance of the covenant of Mount Sinai again. And if you gather in your city, I will send pestilence, I already read this, and be delivered into the hand of the enemy, going into captivities. When I break your supply of bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in a single oven, and shall dole out your bread again by weight, and you shall eat and not be satisfied. This is what is coming. But that's famine. And look at Australia right now. Whole cities running out of water, and they don't have water for their crops, and they're killing their animals, trying to sell them before they die of drought.
Please forgive me for interrupting, but we've got to shut this down here pretty quick.
Okay, then stop interrupting. But if it's
you know what I would suggest? I would suggest that you come on again.
We're almost done here, Daniel. Just let me finish it.
Not that we want to. I mean, it's just a matter of the semantics. But go ahead.
I understand. But if in spite of this you will not listen to me, but walk contrary to me, then I will walk contrary to you in fury. Jehovah is going to be furious, and I myself will discipline you sevenfold for your sins. You shall eat the flesh of your sons, and you shall eat the flesh of your daughters. We are going to be so stinking hungry, we are going to turn to cannibalism. That is what I'm telling you. That is why I'm so passionate about this message, and that's why I'm kicking up as much dust and as arrogant to people who don't want to listen. And I don't have time to argue with people who won't listen, because the feathers are here and the fan is about to be switched on. And if you don't get on board, you are toast. Now,
well, Joe, you better watch yourself, because if you got some meat on your bones, I'm coming for you, buddy.
As long as I hang around you, Daniel, I think I'll be safe for a little bit. You know, this is why this is so important. Your question to me, Jackson, was, why is this important? This is why. This is why.
Well, you've certainly made the point today. And we're going to have to work through this again to try to get it in our mind and understand it better. But I can say this, it's a very challenging doctrine. And from what I can tell, it sounds perfectly logical. And it sounds like that we need to at least do what Essenes do and look it over very carefully. And if what you say is verified, as you say it is, we need to adopt it. That's all there is to
exactly. I encourage you, everyone here listening, to get the books, Remembering the Sabbath Year 2016 and the 2300 Days of Hell from my website. Either get a hard copy or get the ebook or whatever. And if you can't afford it, write me a note.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get them all.
But don't just get it and let it collect dust. You need to read it.
We will. Trust me on that. We will.
Thank you so much, brother.
Shavuot 2020 is less than 6 months away from now.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you, Jackson, for having me on.
And I want to thank all of you for coming on too. It's been very challenging and enjoyable. And now we've got a lot to think about. So,
Mission accomplished.
sayonara, and have a great rest of the Shabbat. And we hope to see you all again.
Shabbat shalom. I gotta go chase some grandkids. Bye.
Okay, you have some fun now, if you consider that fun.
Yeah. Okay. Thank y'all. Jackson, you still there?